Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. I'm a born and bred Sydneysider with an insatiable passion for history. I'm so glad that you've found your way here today. We're going to go on a bit of an adventure today. I'm going to take you to the home of author May Gibbs. Now, before we head out, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about May in case you've never actually heard of her before. She's quite a famous Australian author. So May was actually born in England in the county of Kent and then moved to Australia when she was very young, and she lived here for the rest of her life. She did make trips back to England, but predominantly stayed here in Australia. So she was an author, a children's author. She was also an illustrator, a cartoonist. She was actually also a very talented botanical artist as well. Now, May was very inspired by the Australian bush, and so many of her characters are inspired by her love of the flora and fauna in the bushland here. And her most famous book, without doubt, and she's written quite a few, is the tale of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie that some of you may have heard of. So this was published in 1918, and it has been a favorite ever since. I think the first edition sold 17,000 copies in 1918, so not bad. She's actually classified as the first full-time professional Australian children's author. I think she's proven an inspiration to many people, many generations after her. Now, I want to show you, in case you haven't seen, her famous gumnut babies. So her characters are inspired by, of course, the bush, as I mentioned. And here we have the complete adventures of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie. So this book came out a little bit later. So the original story was 1918. This was later, and it includes, obviously this edition is new, but the other stories that are in this book came out a bit later. So they include Little Ragged Blossom and Little Obelia as well. So a favorite, with parents buying these for their children. I certainly remember borrowing books by May when I was in primary school from my school library. I'll just show you some of they're very cute illustrations. They're like little bush fairies, I suppose you could call them. So in a way, she was sort of like the Beatrix Potter of Australia, I suppose you could say. Another picture there. So really lovely. The stories are fun to read even as an adult. But if you are looking for a sort of a gift for a child that maybe is a little bit different, I can highly recommend the work of May Gibbs. So we are going to go to her house. So she moved to Nutcote. The house is called Nutcote. In 1925, the house was built, and she lived there with her husband, and she worked there. Her studio is still there, and we're going to see it, where she illustrated comic strips, where she wrote books, where she illustrated her beloved children's stories. Her husband actually died in 1939, so she outlived him by 30 years, because May actually died when she was 92 years old in 1969 and lived at Nutcote until that point. She then very kindly bequeathed the copyright of her illustrations, her designs, and her stories to charities, and she also left part of her estate to UNICEF. So after a bit of a transition, the house actually went for public auction at one point, but it's now back being cared for and run by an amazing group of volunteers, and you can go visit the house and walk around the rooms where May lived and worked. The house itself is, I would call it cozy. It's quite small. It was purposely designed for the couple, May and her husband. As I said, built in 1925, and it's not as large as you might imagine it would be for a very successful author. However, it is in the most incredible spot. So it's in what was then Neutral Bay, so Sydney's North Shore, completely harbour side. May's backyard overlooks the harbour. She would have seen and watched as the harbour bridge was being built. It is one of the most beautiful views I've seen. And from every window in the house, you have a stunning view. Almost every window looks out onto the harbour in some way. So inspirational, I imagine, for her stories. She was, as I said, originally from England. So she planted a beautiful English garden there, and you can still enjoy the gardens today. But there are, of course, lots of Australian natives around too to inspire her work and her stories. So that is what we are going to do today. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so I'm excited that I get to take you with me. So the journey from my house will involve a train ride of about 35, 40 minutes, depending on stops. It will also involve a ferry across the harbour. So this in itself is incredibly picturesque, and I will film everything for you so that you get to see it, because we will get the train to Circular Quay. Remember, in one of my last videos I mentioned the Rocks, which is an area of Sydney that I love, historic area. So Circular Quay is the station there. I actually don't think that I've been to a station where you come out onto the most incredible view, and I'll show you, stunning view of any train station I think I've ever visited. And it's just a very short walk to the ferry stop, and then about a 15-minute ferry from Circular Quay to Neutral Bay, where we'll disembark, and a short, gentle, uphill 5-minute walk to Nutcote. So I'm excited. It's going to be a fun day, everyone, and I'm keen to get out and to explore a little bit and to learn more about May and her work, and visit her house, of course. I always get very inspired when I visit the homes. I've been lucky enough to visit many literary homes on my travels, and I always feel a real sense of inspiration when I'm in the room where these incredible people worked. You know, I remember visiting the Bronte parsonage, for example, in England, and just thinking, oh my goodness, this is where the Brontes wrote their masterpieces, you know. And I visited a number of houses in the US as well, literary houses, and I always sort of go away feeling quite inspired. It's almost as though that creativity stays in the air or something like that. So, okay, let's go. Are you ready? We're going to catch the train, catch the ferry, and visit Nutcote. Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. I'm inside Nutcote. So this was the home of Australian author and illustrator May Gibbs. So I'm just in the audio, visual and sort of kids area at the moment, waiting to tour the house. But oh my goodness, I can't tell you how beautiful this spot is. It's right on the harbour. I'm looking out the window here at the sailing boats, and the view from every single window is just so beautiful, and I'm really excited to tour the house. I'll just spin around a bit here so you can see what's in this room. So there's some information, audio visual in the other room, and lots of examples of May Gibbs's incredible children illustrations. And then you can see one of the stunning views from this window. So beautiful. Okay, more from me soon. everyone, I hope you can hear me. I'm now on my way back to Circular Quay from Neutral Bay. I loved the tour of May Gibbs' house. It was amazing, so inspiring to see her studio and where she worked, where she created her art and her children's books. It looks like there's a bit of a storm on the way, so I'm hoping I'll get back before I get absolutely poured on. But the sun has come out, which is lovely, and it's quite warm now actually. So heading back to Circular Quay, might find a nice place for lunch, and then we'll see what I do after that. All right, talk soon. Okay, I'm back in the car now. It's actually been threatening to rain all day, but I've been so lucky up until now. So I'm looking forward to getting home before that downpour starts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed our visit to the home of May Gibbs. I most certainly did. And I would be so grateful if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel. That's incredibly helpful, especially for a new YouTube channel. And of course, I'll be back next week with another video. Until then, take good care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye-bye.